Spiritual bypassing is a methodology that people often use in the spiritual community to avoid or sidestep painful life issues or facing unresolved developmental issues, psychological wounds, and pain as a way to save face, avoid facing their problems, as a way to feel better, which is what we all want. But spiritual bypassing leaves those wounds and psychological damages unresolved. Spiritual bypassing asks you to leave your head in the sand, to avoid pain instead of facing it, to sidestep psychological issues, old wounds, and pain that you don't want to face and shine the light of your awareness on, to work around them instead, or just cover them up, to ignore the elephant in the room, your own traumas, and what others are doing around you in your life situation. The irony of this is that you're really just detracting from what could be a beautiful spiritual practice. Spiritual bypassing corrupts real spiritualism. Real spiritualism is based on a foundation of awareness, and it's something that I talk a lot about on this channel, and I'm going to keep doing that. Spiritual bypassing is a way for you to feel safe, comfortable in familiar surroundings, emotional surroundings, and for others to feel the same too. And one of the biggest problems out there in the general spiritual community is spiritual bypassing. And I don't think anybody is doing it on purpose, but it's something to be very aware of, because not only does the pain linger and the struggles and problems that you are encountering go on, but also, and again, it's not really what we do in spiritualism. You may hear people around you or on the internet in spiritual circles talking about just feeling better. You gotta be positive. And this is just a very, what seems like natural human trait to just always say, oh, be happy. We're not supposed to feel sad. We're supposed to feel happy all the time. Never sad. Sad is not allowed. Anger is not allowed. And it's these kind of awkward moments that other people experience when they're around you, when you're experiencing some kind of a psychological trigger, instead of facing it head on and working with it. The people around you don't really want to hear your problems and worries. And you know what? Maybe they don't have to. Maybe that's not necessary. Maybe they don't want to hear it because they're not a psychotherapist or necessarily a spiritual person, or maybe they're just not ready to help themselves the same way that you are. The persona that they give, the perception that they leave you with, is that only happiness is allowed, only smiles, and you're never allowed to express any negative feelings ever, or else you're a failure. Now, I recognize that for most people, dealing with psychological trauma, things from your past, things in your current life situation, can be very difficult and uncomfortable to talk about. And maybe the best thing for you to do is to find people that you can talk about it with. And for you to know what to do about spiritual bypassing is very easy, very, very simple. You don't have to do anything about it. You don't have to change other people who are engaging in this practice. Just be aware that it's a thing. Whenever you're confronted with your own trauma, drama, head trips, ego trips, or somebody else's, and there's a tendency to shy away, that's spiritual bypassing, a way to get around dealing with the issues head on. And if you see other people doing that, just recognize that's what's going on. Tell them to have a good day, go home and start journaling, meditate, think about it. You're the only one who can really do something about it anyway, But there's plenty of people, thanks to the internet, that you can connect with to talk about these things with. One of the places you can go, of course, is my free Facebook group. It is a public group, New World All-Star, but you can go there and connect with people to talk to. You could join my coaching program, and there's plenty of places out there on the internet that you can find people to connect with. You can read books about it. Just take a look around. There's lots of people to talk to. You could probably even meet somebody in the comments of this YouTube video. But here's the thing I really want you to understand about doing your deep spiritual work, about getting rid of or healing these old psychological traumas. It is your own task, and it is your own awareness that can assist you. It's not really healthy to counter people's, say, spiritual bypassing by A, accusing them of engaging in spiritual bypassing, even though that's what they're doing, B, expecting everybody else to fix it for you. And this is very, very critical talking point in this video. You can't expect other people to do the work for you, but what you can do is talk to somebody. Don't be an energy vampire. Don't put all of your problems on somebody else. Perhaps ask for advice, do something constructive with your time. Make an effort to actually seek healing. And healing is easy to understand when you understand this. The ego is duality. You are the consciousness, body, mind, soul. The soul is the conscious awareness. The mind is duality, the ego, the personality, the mind. It's duality. Why do we need healing? Why are we even having to talk about a thing like spiritual bypassing? Well, it's because people have memories from the past and things even going on right now that are bringing up self-esteem issues, self-worth issues, and the like. And we typically refer to those things as negative. Again, the ego, personality, the mind, is duality, negative, positive. So healing in that sense is replacing the negative with something positive. If you were hurt in a past relationship, healed is when you have a working relationship. So it's very, very simple to see what the end goal is, but it's not going to do you any good to avoid working through those traumas. And again, the path to working through those traumas is your awareness, your consciousness. And if you're on this YouTube channel, the chances are you're absolutely ready for that. You already have had a very deep and powerful spiritual awakening experience where many of these things already came up for you to look at. And there's nothing that you really need to do about them other than to say, look, that's not who I am. I am the conscious awareness. But what is it about these wounds that needs fixing? For example, something that says, I'm never going to have a worthwhile relationship, or I don't deserve abundance. Well, maybe it's because you don't think you are worthy. And there's plenty of places that you can go to get into the sticks about psychological actions that you can take. But what I'm telling you is that's not the truth of you. You are worthy. But why do you feel that way? Why do you have these unresolved wounds? Why don't you take a look at your past? Why is it that you don't feel worthy? Who told you that you are not worthy? Write those things down. Think about them. Talk to your friends about them. Again, there's plenty of people on the internet that you can make friends with to talk about these things, but make it constructive and don't avoid these things. Now, I also really want to be clear about this. Don't use the advice I'm giving you in this video as a free pass to harp on these things. I'm not saying engage in spiritual bypassing by avoiding them. Obviously, that's exactly what this video is about. But don't obsess over them. Work on them. Look at why you feel the way you do about things. Why do you not feel worthwhile? Why do you feel like you're not good enough? And I'm just using those examples. It could be some other kind of issue for you, some other kind of unresolved trauma, but use the power of your consciousness and your awareness to work through them. And again, this is the thing about spiritualism, guys. We're not here to avoid anything. We're not here to avoid old traumas that keep coming up for you and presenting themselves today in behaviors, habits, beliefs that you have about who you really are and how you're limited. Okay? Because I'm here to tell you that the supreme truth of you is that you are unlimited. But how do I get from here to there? Well, it's not going to do you any good to ignore the crying dramas of the ego, right? You have to look at those things and don't be afraid to look in there. Be aware. There's that word again. You are the awareness. Be aware of what's going on in there. Life is yin and yang, guys. It's yin and yang. And so often we want to avoid the yin. We come up with workarounds, sidestepping, avoidance tactics to avoid the elephant in the room. And what I'm telling you is to face them head on, but be conscious about it. Don't get sucked into your own little head dramas, but work through those problems. Think it through. Take your time and don't let anybody tell you that you're bad or wrong for having a bad day, working through a trigger. Don't let anybody tell you that you're a failure if you're experiencing one of these things. You're not, but be conscious as you work through those things. That's what spiritualism is really all about. You look at everything in your life and you say, look, these are the things that really happened. Why do I think the way I do about these things? Where did these beliefs come from? And work through them. Read all the books and take all the time you need. And it's perfectly okay to do that. It's perfectly okay to have a bad day. It's perfectly okay to work through your triggers in real time. But again, don't get sucked into the drama. Don't let it ruin your life. Don't identify as someone who is always in need of constant healing. The goal here is to get to a place where you are healed. And again, healed is where you set right what was wrong. I wasn't a good person. Now I am a good person. Relationships never worked for me. Now I have a great relationship. Healed is where you experience the opposite of what you experienced before because you feel different about it. You think different about it. You looked directly at all the experiences that you've had throughout your life that caused you to think the way that you do, and you worked through them and you weren't afraid to face them. But again, not being sucked into the drama and identity of victimhood, even if you are a victim. And the only reason I'm warning you about that, of course, is I don't want to ruin your day. See you later.